All right, I hit my button officially, so we'll use it either way. But as far as the simmering sauce goes, like, are we talking about like things that we're trying to mail to people? Because
No, I'm
I've
s
already. Oh,
I'm specifically talking about side projects of you and I that are not Real Talk Vlog related.
oh, okay. We're gonna just
You know
leave
what
it
I'm
at.
saying? Like, I'm very excited about these things. We were talking about how our lives are full, or I was saying mentioned like our lives are full, but like, dude, we we're trying to get shit done.
There's a lot of shit going on. It's buddy of mine the other day was saying, "Man, I've spent a lot of money this year. I'm done." I was like, just getting started. I haven't even no. It's like I haven't even gotten started. But anyway, dude.
True. Hey, I sent you that flange measurement.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
one project we can discuss a little further.
Well, I've already
But
I've already dropped what we're doing on. If anybody, so for all of you guys out there, most of us. For all, let's stop. 1 second.
that's the signal for cut that out. Put the arm up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Real Talk Vlogs with Jack and Steve. Today, this week, this week, today, one of those things. We're talking about driver education, defensive driving, idiot drivers, just driving critiquement, driving etiquette, defensive driving, situational awareness, all the things that go along with driving. We got a big event coming up called Wookiees in the Woods, and we are basically doing trap site things with our friends. Most of our friends we found out recently are a lot of you guys out in that world listening to this on whatever
Hi,
platform.
Fred.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends. Um, but Steve and I were just ranting on things that we quote unquote can't talk about on air. But one of those things I've already kind of like oopsed out into the world over on my YouTube channel, Rowdy Outy, which you guys can find links in the description below, or you can just go over there and look up RWDYAUDI, and it'll be the only one like it.
And
So,
away you go.
yeah, find the rabbit hole and see where the AI takes you. Just keep hitting that like button as you go. Every time, every time, every time. Smash away. Don't break your phone.
Jeez, man. It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Oh man.
But what Jack was saying about the defensive driving stuff is he and I do a lot of miles
Oh,
every
stop.
year, year in and year out. Huh?
Stop. Stop. We
Oh,
got to
stop.
finish because we have to address the topic that we bloopered out back in, and then we can go into the real BS. I was just trying to get the Real Talk Vlogs official intro out of the way.
I wasn't even segueing, bro.
You seemed like it. I'm just no, no, no. We got to get on top. We got to stay on. Otherwise, it looks like we have bad ADHD.
Well, we do though.
I mean,
Like,
a little bit. Whatever. Anyway, precision metal finishing. That's what's going on. Steve and I are taking a trip. We basically what we're doing is we're gonna play with some ways of finishing metals and seeing if we can make things slicker. And everything works out well, it might become a thing that can be offered to the public. For
I would really hope that my diff does not end up being a one of one.
now, the basic functions of what we seen at PRI and how it operates, like the stuff has been being done since the 1950s. All right, we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel; we're just we're reapplying it. It's like somebody realizing that Vaseline is good for not just good for like salves, but it's also great to hold bearings in a diff when you're putting it back together. Like eh, you're just reusing what's already there.
True.
The science is there. It's gonna work.
No, I'm just saying. I hope that our listening audience can take hold and has a project to apply it to, and that
Yeah.
all of our time and efforts to get me a cool, super smooth acting rear diff, limited
Which
slip, of course. Uh,
it does.
yeah,
So Steve is actually Steve is Steve has purchased a Build-A-Diff service from rowdyaudi.com, which spelled just like the YouTube channel, just with a .com behind it. And I offer a Build-A-Diff service where I take your OEM diff that you have that's been beat on, abused for 180, 200,000 miles of two-step launching, hard thrashing. Uh, what I don't know. I don't know what you want to throw at. Whatever. And I'm going to take it apart, service it, make it look brand new, function like it's brand new, new bearings, new seals. We'll even package it with a Traction Concepts LSD, and there you go. We'll mail it back to you. All you got to do is shove it back in your car, and you have a brand new, like new.
FYI, there's a ton of options for the, not a ton, but there's several steps of options for the diff, and I got a little carried away with the check boxes. So, you know,
He just hit one, and that was select all. So
yeah,
you can get basically the tier options is there's an OEM, and then there's a street strip option, and then there's a full race option. The full race option is not available to the general public right now, as it's still in full development, but it's in development mode. So,
Laser's
um,
going full race.
yeah, i.e. development mode. As I do one of these to get to the other side of the screen.
Yeah,
This
I'm honestly super excited with that, just to have the have some fun with the car, but also to, test the before and after
Yeah,
on one of the most insane roads on the planet and see how much added car control it really gives. And not just from an aspect of like, hey, I dropped my car off at the shop last week, it felt like this, and then I took it out 2 weeks from now and it felt like this. No, like, good morning, we're swapping a diff today. And
yeah.
like, I'm
Uh,
excited.
he went. That was goes back to that whole. He checked all the boxes. He even checked the on-site installation. This mother freaker.
Yeah, Jack's not too happy about that
It's
one,
you
but
know what?
I pulled the friend card hard on that one.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. In my in Steve's defense, either way, I don't think there's been an event that Steve and I've been at that I haven't swapped a diff out.
True, true. When you delivered the CRX,
Facts. That's the. I
we
mean,
did we didn't do any
I didn't
we
have an
didn't do
Audi to
any
work on.
Audi diff swaps
None.
during the CRX delivery. And I really hope that your Delta airline flight back didn't need a diff swap.
Not that I
Oh,
know of. Oh man, gosh. So the other two tiers you can get. Yeah, the Street Strip is basically a LSD, a Traction Concepts LSD that I guess. How do I put this? I partnered with Traction Concepts. We developed a LSD package for your rear-wheel drive Audis, and it is 100% functional for your all-wheel drive models as well. But the whole thing is the amount of positive rear grip, and we have figured out that perfect balance of, yeah, it's more track use first than street. And
yeah, I may have ordered a little extra diff
yeah,
than I actually need, but the red car, it's a street car for sure, but it essentially is a fun driver. I'm not dailying it. I'm not driving it to the office. I'm not, running to get groceries in it. When the red car comes out, I'm going to drive it and have a good time.
yes.
It's coming out of the trailer. I'm at a track. It's coming out of the trailer. I'm at Wookiees, Tail the Dragon. I don't need the same way a lot of other folks that have B5s need their car to feel good, to feel comfortable. I shouldn't say good. My car will absolutely feel good, but feel comfortable in all of the dynamics of daily driving. And so a lot of people, this is kind of going a little long here, but the
It's all
a
right.
lot
It's
of
our show.
folks, yeah, it's true. A lot of folks want that full-blown race car until they have a full-blown race car. And so I'm fortunate enough that I have an RSX, I daily it, I have the van, I've got we've got options for vehicles, and the S4 is that's my toy car. I've had it a long time. It's a toy car. So
That's how
I'm
I
gonna
feel about my
go
C5.
I'm gonna go a little more hard edge with that, knowing that I'm not driving it every day.
Yeah.
And so what Jack's getting at is if you have a race car, we have options for you.
Now
And
at
if you
this,
have a street car, he's got options for you.
correct. I do have I was gonna say to go with that streetcar option. There is a traction concept more streetable, a little bit. It's still all the grip, but it's tamed down a little bit just for ones who want to party, but they don't want to party like.
It slips enough that you're not gonna get extra wear on your outside tire in a parking lot.
Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the things at hand. Speaking of little extra wear in parking lots, places that it's okay to do dumb shit. World. All right, there
They
are
exist.
there there are sketchy dumb places, and then there are a 100% whatever you want to do. If you wreck it, well, you're an idiot. Those are racetracks, all right? You want to slide around, you want to do dumb shit in a controlled environment at a young age, get your parents to take you to a racetrack, take your mom's BMW that you've been stealing at night, and go to the racetrack, right?
Yeah, the
Controlled environment.
I will
Par-
chip in the best first entry like edge of driving event you can do. Spend $40, do an autocross for 1 day. You don't need a race license, you don't need a race car, you don't need several $1,000s in either entry fees and new tires and new brakes. Like take your street car. Go do tight confined driving with people that have done a lot of driving. The atmosphere at most autocross events is super friendly, and like I can't promote that enough to new drivers.
I bring this up because this whole podcast is going to be about driving, situational awareness. And because, yes, you can go do sketchy things in parking lots, that's one thing, but it's not to the control levels where you really should be. You need more. You need that time attack dynamic, that closed
Yeah.
course dynamic. And you're going to be able to take the things I think that we talk about today and actually try them. One of those is like proximity, like how closer you are to things. What entry speeds do you really need? Do you need to be hammering on the brakes in a 35-mile-per-hour uphill turnpike that's clearly noticed yellow 35 and you're doing it at 10? Like that's obstructing the flow of traffic at this point. Come on. Trust
Yeah.
the.
So during this podcast, your favorite negative Nancy host named
Oh.
Steve will have so many specific things that just ugh. But uh
All right.
you know the typical format, Jack.
Yes, I do.
Before we get into terrible drivers, how was your week, man?
Uh I'm gonna go with a one. Today was the
Dude, I'm
best.
sorry.
It's life. It happens that way. So 1.5. I did have a really good day when I disassembled Megan's car and found out I got to say I told you so. That's bad.
Yo,
I'm sorry to
look,
say that, but that's
on that topic, Heidi told me I was right more than one time this week.
wow. Nice, bro.
Like, I'm still in shock. I don't even know what it was about. Okay, but what I'm saying is I feel you on the like the enjoyment out of the ah I wasn't an idiot this time.
You know, if there's any wives that are listening or girlfriends out there that are listening to any of this, you know, it's or even sons and daughters, you know, anybody, just know it's all right to tell people we all need to hear you were right once in a
Yeah,
while. Like,
because you know you're gonna hear you were wrong.
right. Oh, that's coming.
Ain't nobody gonna hesitate to tell you were wrong.
100%. But once in a while, just tell somebody, you know what, if they were right, just go up to them and be like, you know what, you were right, and here's when you were right about. And let them bask in it. Let them bask in it. Like, oh,
It's almost as good as you were right and I'm sorry. Like
that's,
that's some high level relationship goals right there, bud.
bro, actively every day.
Oh man. All right. So what I'll ask the follow up I won't get into the negative stuff because I've talked extensively off air. But what was the 1.5? Like, what was the great moment of your week?
All right, so the basement. Colton has a play. We kind of have a playroom over here.
Okay.
Today I hung a swing. We're working on putting old game consoles back out. Colton's at that age that I don't got to worry about him destroying them. The
Oh, okay.
so like I have dude,
How old are we talking? How not how old Colton is, but how old are the games? What game consoles are we talking about?
um I have an Atari 5400.
Okay. All right. I
That's
got a 2600 that belonged to my oldest brother. Still kicking
nice.
around my parents' house. It's
Nice.
yeah.
Sega Genesis, Sega Saturns, uh, Super Nintendo's up there. I have a Chinese replica of a Nintendo, but I also have a full size first gen Nintendo. I've only got about
Okay.
10 games though. Fun fact about that. Did you know you cannot use an original blaster for Nintendo on a TV, a mirrorless TV, because there's no mirror to reflect the blaster back at it?
How many upset kids there were when their parents got a new TV and their video game quit working?
Oh, I know, I know. I thought about that. I was like, man, the nostalgic factor. If you just so you could play that game, that's a fun. Hey, there
Talking
you
about
go.
like Duck Hunt, right?
Yeah, like
Okay.
it sucks you can't play Duck Hunt because we don't have a modern TV. You could do it with like a CRT if you had a converter or something. But hey, there's a $1 billion, probably. I'm gonna go a billion because of inflation. $1 billion idea out there for somebody to figure out how you can play Duck Hunt on your flat panel TV.
No, there's I'm a sidebar for a second. There has to be with all of like the 3D controls that we have,
Hmm.
right? For like what it was a PlayStation Move and the Wii and like they kind of come along. But like you're telling me we can't figure out something to position where the end spot of the axis is going to be for like where the gun will point just based on the positioning of the controller?
That's an interesting perspective. Okay,
I'm
I'm
just saying
tracking.
like the Wii controller, right?
Yeah.
So like when you're I'm a backup. I have very little experience with the Wii outside of bowling because that was always like the party game in my like post college era, right? So like
I have a Wii though.
yeah. And so like you can turn the controller just a little bit
Hmm.
and it makes the ball like the extra spin on the ball.
So,
And that's all I
body
think
one.
it's accelerometers.
I think it could be done. It could be done. Like there would be some way to interface. You could take the soft. There's probably an open source code out there in Linux that somebody could take that motion sensing tracking software and we're talking about what 8-bit system. We're talking about Nintendo. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it can be coded. That can be done. It's doable. It
Oh,
is
I know.
doable.
I'm just over here trying to speculate with my dirt moving hands how to make electric work.
Bro, I got a Raspberry Pi. You want to give it a go?
That's that's like a DIY computational module of some sort, right? Am I
Yeah,
right? Your Raspberry Pi.
yeah.
Okay.
It could do the
Like,
work. It could do the work for it.
is it
Uh,
conceptually that you can use those to compartmentalize functions within a system,
yeah.
or are they designed to run an entire system?
You can do a lot of things with them. So I believe if you stack enough, so you can make a Raspberry Pi server, and you can make a Raspberry Pi server farm, and you can put
Oh wow.
50 of
Okay.
them things together and freaking run them to one. Like it could,
Okay.
you can do a lot with it. Essentially, it is a computer. It is a desktop. It is your laptop. It's just small.
Okay. All right. All right.
Um,
I'm gonna do a Raspberry Pi ECU for the upcoming Project Snowball.
okay, so that is I hate you question because I've actually it's got external driver ports and you can make external modules. And essentially, the only difference between a car ECU and a Raspberry Pi, from the way I see it in like a processing, I understand the software. Like we just got, I understand. Let me clarify. I understand the software enough to know that you can code pretty much anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Conceptually, you understand.
Right. I don't know how to do it, but I know it's. But from a hardware standpoint, who gives a shit? As long as we can control something, take an input in, output out, and we can communicate, which a Pi can, I believe somebody could actually run a car on a Raspberry Pi. I think you'd start small scale with like a two-stroke engine or something.
Okay.
And if you can do it from there, you scale it up. There's another great project for somebody's science fair in 2050.
All right,
21.
guys. Podcast for mid-September this year. We're gonna have a episode about Raspberry Pis
All
because
right.
I need that much time to catch up. I believe Jack is taking a post-it note to write down that mid-September we're doing a Raspberry Pi podcast. Um, yeah, we need
And
to. So the
with
one,
with a working project.
okay, all right.
Because the only
The
way you can understand it is if you take it on. Dude, these things are cheap. They're like $40 at Best Buy.
okay, all right.
Like you can order it on Amazon right now for like everything you need, including a case for probably $60. You'll have it tomorrow if you order within the next 6.5 hours.
I got a price. I'm a ADD myself for a moment. I got a price sheet on ECU components for Project Snowball from
Mm,
at a dealer. And I need to narrow down. This is kind of in my week, but I need to narrow down all of the add-ons I will need. So I'm only trying to buy shit once.
so
You know what I mean? So like I haven't. There's
a select all button?
yeah, but I don't need boost control.
Not yet right now, but maybe you can use
Not
boost for
really boost
nitrous.
control.
You can use boost for other things though.
I don't. Do I really need to spray a B series in a sub 2,000 pound CRX?
Maybe.
Also, don't forget I'm building this car for a first time driver.
Yeah, but
10
you
years
could. Okay, here in 10 years from now, he might need it.
we'll just set the when we get to tuning, I need to know if I can set a manual like a set a hard rev limit
Yes, you can set
at
all.
like 2,800 RPM or 5 grand or whatever. I mean, we're talking about a teenage. It's essentially going to be teenage kid.
Yes,
You know, first car. I want to make sure it's got good brakes, good suspension, it's reliable.
but it's
And
sixteen
then
hundred pounds with 300 horsepower.
2,000. Okay, 165.
Okay,
And then
it
when we like crank the say be like, okay, 6,000 RPM, 7,000 RPM, 8,000 RPM, 9,000 RPM, 9,250.
10,000 full send mode.
No.
Yes,
Um
you got to make it. It's got to be capable. Just because you can say you can do it. Yo, you guys, check it out. So back in the day when Uncle Steve used to drive this, there was a time and there's a video of that thing hitting 1050, 1050, and it's like no one's ever else. It can do it. No one's done it. It
yeah.
can do it.
Dude, I I think the thing that's got me 100% set on keeping it NA and making it rev happy was driving match GSR at Wookiees last year.
Yeah,
I just left it in second and just stayed in the power band everywhere.
yep,
And anyway,
dude. I am so stoked for Wookiees to be taking the B6 S4 there. Like so stoked.
okay,
I know.
that's okay. I I am curious about the handling capabilities of the B6 B7 chassis
It
because
runs.
every review that you talk about or you see from like when the B6 S4 came out and when the B7 S4 came out, they talked about how much improvement there was over the handling of the previous generation. Well, basic spring setup and sticky tires on a B5 is impressive, right?
Hmm.
So if the B6 is that much better, I'm not necessarily trying to push it that further. It's not my car, but I want to understand, is it really that much better, or is it a better mix for the daily ability? You know?
So driving, comparing it from the Biscus, because they're both completely stock. Like that's the best comparison. It's got a better power band. I think they feel almost the same. You can feel that the B6 has more at like weight, like there's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
car,
yeah.
but it also has a wider track, and you can
Yeah.
feel that track difference. But
Okay.
the way that thing is geared, six gear sucks. We need a real O1E six gear in it. Need to bring the RPMs away. Dude, it cruises at 80 miles an hour at 3,100 RPMs.
That's a that's OE that's O1 B501E
Is it?
six
I
gear.
don't feel like it
Yeah.
is.
Look, I'm gonna throw that.
Maybe it's because my speedometer don't work.
I'm gonna drop a mention to an OG racehorse dude, one of the original fellas. Look, he was on Audi Zine as Obi John. Okay, and he had a black B5 S4 long tube headers, cars all over Audi Zine back in the day, known as Nightmare. Right, sick car, GT25 build. Anyway, we had a long discussion about cruising RPM on the way. Like, he came from Michigan to Pennsylvania, and I came from in Virginia to Pennsylvania for one of the first and second race wars, and we talked about, like, I was on the way up and I'm like, yo man, I wish I had a sixth gear for better cruising mileage. And he's like, oh yeah, we cruise like 75, 80 miles the whole way, and I'm at 3,000 or above. Well, 80 miles an hour in a Tiptronic B5S4, 80 miles an hour flat is like 2960, 2950. It is like just a hint under 3,000, but enough of a gap to know that the fifth gear in that car, whether it was fifth gear or the diffs, I don't know if it had more to do with the rear diff being a different ratio, but sub 3,000, but barely at 80 miles an hour.
Huh. That's
I mean, I
that's
had people asking me if I had transmission mods, and I'm like, no. Who's doing a gear swap on automatic? But
that's all right. Let's get into this a little bit, shall we? I apologize.
it was all right.
Huh?
Thanks for asking.
I did. Wait. I asked you. No, shit. My bad, dude. Whoa. Whoa. I apologize. Here, let me rewind. I am sorry. We got into diff talks and I
Yeah,
got sidebarred and
ADD life is real, man. I get it.
it is. It is. The half of oh, okay, so I'll finish the one piece, the other half of my week. The point five.
Yeah, yeah. The point five, that's important.
The part where I get to say I was right.
All right, all right.
the the wife's car was like this close to throwing a rod. Did you see the picture? Did you?
No,
No. Oh, you didn't see it. Never mind then. Let's skip on past it.
we've uh we've discussed the issues with your wife's car at past, but I'll follow up with a picture viewing at some time.
That's fine. Let's move on. It's all right. I'm not gonna bat. It's just one of those. I'm building a motor. How was your
Nice.
week, Steve?
Yeah, I did a bunch of traveling this week. To give the solid numerical rating, I would say it's 5.
Five.
So so better than, like, pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Most weekends I fill my weekends up with a bunch of crap to do and I get half of it done, right? That's my typical. I got all these plans for the weekend or the week and I get half of it done. This weekend, or this past week, we shoot the podcast on Tuesday night. Wednesday, I had a pretty good sized meeting at work, and then I dipped out to North Carolina for a day, for some work related stuff. So I got a nice little cruise down the East Coast into North Carolina. I crossed over Lake Gaston,
Where's
heading
Lake
into North
Gaston?
Carolina. Lake Gaston,
Lake
uh,
Gaston.
Gaston. It's between North Carolina and Virginia on that line, but it's important to me because my dad's folks had a house on at Lake Gaston when I was a little kid. Like, they retired there. That's the house they owned when they passed away. It's been early 90s, but it brought back some, like, yo, oh wow, you know, seeing signs for Lake Gaston. I could have just turned off and gone to my grandparents' house kind of stuff, but that was kind of cool. Um, I have had some discussions with a local shop about parts ordering the Honda ECU stuff for Project Snowball. I've done some searching for a B20 and
Hey,
feel pretty confident about the pricing on that.
so
I
what
haven't
are you
ordered. I haven't ordered anything. I've just looked around, seen what's there. Dude. I'm trying to get the red car done, finished, in my hands, ready to take to Wookiees
for all those out there
before.
right now? I'm just instigating. I'm giving him the look. I'm like glaring at him like, dude, come on, quit dicking around. You know what we got to do. Start writing a few of these checks because parts are good every day. There's somebody else taking a part off the shelf. Honda, the engines are easy. Get a Honda at it. Like,
Okay, all
hit
right.
select all.
Listen,
Yes.
I'm going to the shop next week because they're open later than the hours I work at the office. So one day after work next week, I'm gonna swing in on my way home. Fortunately, I live relatively close to one of the, I don't know, 7 Honda dealers in the country, and
Convenient
everybody's a reseller. Everybody
for Honda.
is a reseller. Yeah, but finding a I didn't think it would be like that. I thought I could just go to any old Honda shop and they'd be good to go.
Right.
And like most, I'm fortunate there's one close by. I mean,
Right.
there might be 10 or 12 of them, but if you're in your area in the Midwest, I bet the closest one to you is more than 2 hours away.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it was surprising, man. Because like
But
when we've talked about Honda tuning, like Honda is essentially what you do for anything B series, right? And
or
I think
K
there's some
series.
okay.
I have
Also,
Honda on the RSX.
is Honda is K Pro a Honda product?
Yes. I have
That
it on
makes
the
sense.
RSX.
Okay. So anyway, um I'm gonna go say hi to them and talk to them about my project and talk to people that have experience in doing that can get me the part having a local source for parts for a I don't want to say unique project, but semi-unique project.
I mean, yeah, I'd definitely say it's still unique because,
Everybody's doing K series.
yeah,
Essentially, it's the Honda version for anybody that's not a major car person. Uh,
essentially,
it's the small block Chevy versus LS, and I'm running a small block Chevy.
that's a fact saying with 2022 technology operating it. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, we're literally resto modding a 1986 CRX
HF, which
HF.
was not fuel injected, which will be fuel injected.
Mhm.
And
Wait,
so,
time out. I'm just gonna put this out there. It might be fuel injected. Might
what might be fuel injected?
your B20 with ITBs might be
Wait,
fuel
stop.
injected.
You're telling me that I'm gonna end up with a carbureted B20.
No, no. Never
Wrong
mind.
answer's no.
No. You're right. You're right. No, I my fault. My fault. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, I technically could, but
Yo,
it would
guys do
be.
carbureted LSs for class racing all the time.
But at the same time, from a from a mechanical standpoint, it would be bad. It would be BA. From a reliability, want to just thrash on it, turn the key every time, no concerns, not practical. But still having ITBs is because we can do direct injected
Where are you getting
ITBs.
ITBs from?
I'm putting ITBs on thing. I've got them in the garage for it. I got the 3D printer over here that can prototype everything I need. I will bring it down as a bolt-on component. It's going to say SPR Industries, and you're going to put it on there. I'll put it on there while you're eating dinner.
Yo, while I'm out thrashing on my new diff that you just put in.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All
Because
right.
I'm there on a service call.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Oh, so here's
I thought about doing that, putting that on my
I'm
Rowdy Audi.
I'm gonna come I'm gonna time out for you.
What's up?
Wookiees in the Woods is a business expense for you
Yeah.
because you are driving to Wookiees to provide a service to a very valuable client, and customer service is a write-off, and the travel expenses to deal with the client. It's really sad you're going to lose so much money on this service, but that client, it's worth the future investment to take that loss at this
Well,
time.
it's also advertising and marketing too. So like the whole thing, it's also I'll be content creation for it as well. Like this is a thing that I can do, which I really should just add that as a service on rowdyaudi.com, like rent a tech.
Phonotech.
That's a whole nother thing that's being worked on. We can't talk about that on air.
Got it.
Ah,
Got it.
but
All
there's a
right. My week was essentially a 5. I had some good days. I got some good looking forward on some projects. Um, the my work environment is looking good, and so I'm not going to forecast anything, but I may be moving a little up the ladder and taking on some bigger responsibility at work, and the wallet appeasement that comes with that, which would be nice. I'm hoping, I think I've got it, but it's been a full week, but a good one. Yeah,
yeah.
full week, but good one. That's where we're at.
All right, all right, good, 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 good.
And the thing that made it a 5 instead of a 4 was following through with that flange measurement that you needed so badly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, my ding dingness went ahead and did not. While I was at the farm, I didn't grab a diff thing, the flange or the axle.
Oh,
Yeah, I forgot to measure it,
oh, I got
but
you. I
I
got
got
you.
it. I got
Yo,
it.
tomorrow's a new day.
Tomorrow is a new day. Another thing I didn't get done is I need to get. I did not get the cardboard laid out, and I got to start etching this transmission.
Um,
Oh,
um, what I was getting at earlier about my week, about the weekends, I literally sat aside Saturday and Sunday after getting back from North Carolina. I didn't do anything, and it felt good.
did you play video games? Like, what's your
Uh,
definition of not doing nothing? Like, not doing nothing, like staying in bed, being a zombie, death to the world. I'm sleeping, piss off. I'm not even getting out of bed to pee.
all right, so my bare minimum day requirement is wake up, feed and water the dog.
Okay,
Raven's my life, and she gets attention no matter what.
that's they said.
And but essentially, I kicked around all day Saturday and all day Sunday in pajamas, not really pajamas. I'm not a pajama type, but sweatpants, sweatshirt, comfortable clothes.
Right.
The most stressful thing of my week was Friday night. We went to Costco, and I'm not big on people, and a lot of my trip to Costco relates very much to bad drivers because bad drivers push shopping carts. And at
They push
Costco, those
shopping
shopping carts
carts.
are huge. I'm not even kidding, man. Look, I'm gonna tie back into this when we get into all the terrible driver stuff that annoys me. All right, we're gonna relate. I'm gonna create little analogies for our listening audience on why Costco is so bad if you live in an area with high accidents. If you live in a high insurance rate region, you should probably go grocery shopping somewhere else. Follow Steve for more tips.
So wait, all right. We're gonna clip that, but you're saying that if you live in a high insurance area, you should go grocery shopping in other places.
Yes.
Is that because the bigger carts like come like just damage? Like what's all the justification?
The
Humor
number of
me.
accidents that happen in parking lots. All right,
Okay,
so I'm gonna
but
back up for a second.
well,
I
also
moved I moved from Winchester, Virginia, which is like in the cusp of West Virginia, to Northern Virginia, which is one of the highest population density areas on the East Coast, right?
all right.
Um, I don't own a single car, excluding the Laser S4, which has not been street driven in almost 3 years. any car that does not have front and rear bumper damage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All of that happens in parking lots.
Yeah.
All of it happened in parking lots. Not one of my bumpers was hit while I was in the car.
Well, I don't know if this is the way it is in Virginia, but here in Missouri, if you're in Walmart's parking lot, you got two cars parked next to each other, and one backs up and bumps into it or something. It's a no fault zone here in Missouri. You're on your own. It's your insurance that fixes your car. They're not obligated to fix your car or to tell you. It's a no fault zone.
You time out. If you have a dash cam and you can prove the other person is at fault, your insurance company will go after their insurance.
Interesting.
Regardless. Now, what you're getting at, and a lot of my experiences with Virginia, West Virginia, but you have to go to your insurance company with the proof that the other party is guilty at that point in a parking lot. You're not going to get official police report in a parking lot. A police officer will not write a report for an accident in a parking lot. Well, because it's technically out of their jurisdiction. It's private property.
Hmm.
They can. Anyway, parking lots are bad, right?
That's why car people park in the back all the way out across 4 parking spots. For all those non-car people listeners out there, I'm sorry, but like I condone it. Like it doesn't bother me.
I don't. What you don't condone? You condone what?
I don't care if people want to park out North Dallas 40 and park in the middle of 4 spots.
Yes.
Fantastic, go for it, do it. I don't care.
If you're
Like,
at the back of the lot, go for it. If
yeah,
you're at the front of the lot, I am calling your shit out every time.
you're an asshole if
I
you're
will
if
wait
you're
for you.
if you're in the front of the parking lot and you go across too, or even, yeah, you're an asshole. Don't do that. Go out in the back. You're asking for the person to come up and park on your door. But if you're the person out in the back of the parking lot, parked across 4 spots, and some asshole comes up and parks next to you on your shit where you can't get out, they're the asshole.
I'm gonna. This is gonna be personal story number one, and it's kind of funny that we got here this way because it wasn't even on my list of things to bitch about. But I went to a Cracker Barrel. Love Cracker Barrel because I love chicken and dumplings.
Oh, their
But I
hash
went
brown
to
casseroles, baller.
Mighty White of you, bro. But uh, I went to Cracker Barrel. I pull into Cracker Barrel. I'm in the van. I'm not parking at the front. I'm in a van. But there's 1.5 spaces very near the front of the building for me to park my van. 1.5 because some fine customer had parked over the line in the first 2 spaces next to the handicap parking spots. Right? So I'm on my lunch break. I like roll in, I sit at the little counter, I get my, Cracker Barrels have a counter. You like walk up, I want a drink and some dumplings, and it's out in like no time. So like
Oh yeah, we don't
I
got
walk
that.
out, I walk out, I'm in the van. I decide I'm gonna start the van, put the windows down, just wait a while. Because there was something within me that was very perturbed about this particular high quality customer taking up so much space. Back up. Cracker Barrel. Their average age of their customer is 114. Okay. They still only have 3 handicap spots for a restaurant that seats 60 people. Okay. There's not enough handicap spots at most Cracker Barrels for the number of handicapped people in the Cracker Barrel. So the last place you want to take 2 spots at around me is next to the handicap spots at the Cracker Barrel. So I'm sitting in my van, backed up in its 1.5 spots that I've got next to this RS Camaro. Now, RS is not an Audi. This is not like RS Audis. This is Chevrolet base model Camaro with a badge. Right? Lovely car, great driver, all that. This guy walks out. I explain to him in the nicest manner possible, sir, please have some respect for the fellow customers. You are not special. It's an RS. There's space at the back. And dude's like, this is a $50,000 Camaro. You can't talk to me like that in your piece of shit van. I love these people that have no idea what one-ton van costs?
I was just thinking, I was like, isn't your 1-ton van around 50 grand?
They are now,
Yeah.
right? But a RS Camaro, a V6 Camaro, I'm sorry, you paid 50 G for
Yo,
a V6 Camaro?
it might be
You got played.
it might be a all leather LT1 package.
I'm talking about 2016, homie.
Oh, bro.
Not like the not now.
I'm
Not
actually
with the crazy used car prices and stuff.
Yeah, let's look it up.
So
I'm curious. I'm curious just because I'm humoring myself. I got Google up here.
yeah, okay, that's fine.
Uh 2016, we're just gonna go say it was a brand new car.
Yeah, oh yeah. It looked
Chevy
new, it was nice.
I bet it was. Like those actually look pretty good. Like a ZL1 and them things are yo, I got one of their engines in my Audi.
Um, the V6 1LE was rated at one of the best handling sports cars, period, for the money. Like, it's not my thing. I'm not a big pony car guy, but
Yo, Google says 2016 Chevy Camaro RS MSRP base price $28,600. Price is tested 32,500, making a whopping 335 horsepower of its V6.
that's I don't even care about what the trim packages are and stuff. The owner can think it's the most special car ever. Park at the back. You can walk. If you want two spots, park at the back. I
Uh,
park at the back every time because the van's 100 bajillion feet long and 100 bajillion feet wide, and it takes up that many spots.
it is not 100 bajillion feet wide, just long. Don't get it twisted. You ain't that girthy.
You're right, but I go out of my way to park at the back.
Hey, on a
Is all
side
I'm
note,
saying.
okay, I get it. I get it. On a
We got
side
time.
note, I'm just looking at the math here. This thing's a 3.6 liter, making 335 horsepower. Hey, that's a solid, like, small block Chevy. I mean, it's
Okay,
over
so
100
if you're
horsepower
talking
per
about a
liter.
truck motor,
I mean, yeah, it's a
what's the
5.3
torque
liter,
number?
284. But it's got a lot of valves. It's got 24 valves, so it's got to move a lot of air.
I'm not gonna hate on a Camaro.
I'm not
I'm
hating
not.
on it.
I'm
It's
not
cool.
gonna do it. They sell a bunch of them. People love them. They're good cars, right? But my point is,
Be better with an Audi motor in it.
people that act special when they're not. Not everybody is special.
Okay.
Not every car is special. Not every moment is special. Be respectful of your space.
All right. My turn.
Go ahead. Do it
My
to
turn.
it, buddy.
All right. So my little rant when we're talking about this whole thing is I have a 15-year-old son. So we've had the discussion. My wife and I have talked about it. She's told me I can't tell the kids the statistics of accidents. Like we
Why
actually
not?
I don't know. Like I'm a firm believer in data. Like
You
here,
can't tell your kids facts.
I don't I guess not. So based on 100 million miles traveled, what do you think the number one age range for most accidents is? And I can give you whether you want it in daytime or nighttime. So you pick day or night and you tell me what you think.
How specific do you want?
5 years, 5 year increments.
And you're talking about like 100 million for every 100 million miles driven by that age group?
Yeah,
Okay. Who has the most accidents per capita within that age group for a 100 million mile bracket?
this is nation.
That's fine. That's fine. I understand. Um, I really want to say like 18 to 23, but I'm gonna follow up and say no. It's gonna be 23 to 28.
As the highest.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now, are you talking about total number or percentage?
total
Because like,
number over this Department of Transportation, some HNICs up there in our government basically put out this report that said based on 100 million miles traveled, okay, versus driver age and time of day, fatal car accidents. is the testing range was 16 to 85 plus.
Okay.
Okay. And at nighttime, the highest peaked accident ratio is if you're over 85. The next highest year range is 17. At 28, you're less than 10%. You're like sitting at 6% chance of getting into a car accident.
So my initial say with the young folks is because almost all young people drive, not all old people drive. Old folks tend to be like hyper conservative with their driving, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that they aren't as capable as they used to be, right?
So this
If you're 85 and still driving, like I don't know how many 85-year-olds you know, but
um
I know a couple, and I would rather somebody else be driving all of them. But then what I was thinking with the
so
my like I said, my initial reaction was the young kids, right?
the
Because they're
young side of
new.
this, well, that's an interesting thing. Hold on. I want to interject with you, not to cut
Okay.
you off, but this chart, the way they're describing it, it's 16 is at 16, 17% likelihood. At 17, it skyrockets to 25%. At 18, it comes back down to like 17%.
So 17 years old is when you're first getting off of your graduated license. So
Yeah.
like a lot of states, you got like you can only drive between these hours with a parent or a guardian or somebody over 25 or whatever the criteria is. You can't drive at night if you're 16. Okay, now that you're 17, you can drive all day, all night with somebody else in the car. And then at a certain point in your 17 age, 17 and a half or whatever, here you go, bud, free to go.
It's interesting to watch this scale too because it really just does one of these and then tapers out and then slowly comes back up. Like 55 is the lowest point of the graph for night driver accidents at just it coming in at like 3%.
Okay.
Like, but it's, I think it is contested to the fact there's a lot. First, parents are more likely to teach drivers to drive it during the day. They
Yeah.
don't, parents don't put their kids into controlled, sketchy situations often enough. Like if it's winter, yeah, you need to go take your kid out in the snow, go do a hot lap around the building, check the conditions, know what it's like for yourself. Go take your kid driving.
We
Four
we
wheel
were
drive, no 4-wheel drive.
I
Like,
was mentioning the autocross earlier.
mm-hmm.
There's a local group that does 2 autocross events in January for that reason.
That makes sense. Another thing great about autocross on a sidebar, because you're over there, is the controlled environment allows you to try a little bit more sketchy situations and know how the car is going to correct. You
They
know,
have designated recovery zones,
exactly.
like slide outs and yeah.
So, like going back to thing, like as parents, it is our duty to prepare our children the best that we possibly can. And I think good practices are both on your driving habits and even at coming up through age. Like I always tell, like Jacob, I would always be like, I would explain to him what I'm doing as I'm driving, or Megan's in the car with him the other day and she had me on the phone and she was like, hey, look, there's two bikes out here in front of you. That one's doing crazy things. This thing weighs a lot. You can't stop it fast. I'm not, and Jacob's over here, Mom, I know how to drive. I know how to drive. And she's like, I know you know how to drive, but we have to worry about them. You need to back off because this is one of those cases where if he goes down, you can't stop fast enough. Give him some distance. And it's like you need defensive driving, situational awareness, and understanding what you're driving. Like there's
Mhm.
all these elements that aren't, they're not being taught, but you almost have to learn them from fucking up
Our
or listening to people who drive a lot. I don't know. I,
brand
it
no, I don't
bugs
say
me.
the what you say about what you're driving, right? It plays such a major role. I'm gonna I'm I'm not following as closely when I'm driving the van as when I'm driving the RSX. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not doing it. And that kind of thing makes you wonder, like, when our parents were driving, or especially like you and I, when we started driving, we had small cars. We had tiny little cars, tiny little
First
fuel efficient cars.
first car on 3, 2, 1. 74 Pinto station wagon.
1993 Ford Escort station wagon.
Nice! Station wagon gang. Yeah. All right, let's go.
But my point is, like, now, talking about young drivers like Jacob now,
Mhm.
how many parents are getting their kids SUVs for their first car? Thinking, oh, they're higher up. They can see better. There's more space in it.
No one remembers the Ford Explorer commercials from like '93 where they. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Oh, blame it on Firestone, no less.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
What a scandal.
Yeah, yeah, it's the whole thing. If you
Different
want to,
topic, different day.
yeah,
But
maybe. Hey,
yeah,
you want me to write that down?
Ford Firestone, look it up. Yep. We can include that with unintended acceleration for Audi in the 80s, and also
Oh, because of
uh,
the actuator that you could blow air into.
and then also the
Toyota Camry gas pedal.
no, that's Prius.
Oh, is it a Prius? Oh,
Prius. Yeah,
okay.
but the other one from the 50s and 60s, the Corvair, they said was dangerous at any speed.
Yeah.
Oh God, what was that guy's name
Do you know where the gas tank was in it?
on the Corvair
Yeah.
in the front?
Yeah. Like it was the farthest
Engines in the
most.
back.
Well, yeah, but
Where's the
it's like
Porsche gas?
imagine if you rear-ended somebody though.
I mean, Ford Pintos got rear-ended all the time. That didn't turn out well either.
Hmm.
They also got canceled.
Yeah. Don't worry, they'll come back. Don't worry. We got to. Manufacturers are running out of names. Before they've already brought back the Bronco.
Uh, I don't mind about the new Bronco so much, but the Chevrolet Blazer they brought back, it hurt my soul.
Oh, yeah. It looks like
There's a
RoboCop.
K5 Blazer in my generation, in my family. There's a K5 Blazer, and when they were like, "Yeah, here's the new Blazer," I I was kind of mad that I owned a Chevy van. Anyway, we need to get back to the terrible drivers and the things
Okay.
that our listeners need to avoid while they're listening to us on their Friday morning commute right now.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, since we're on the night topic, let's expand on that a little bit because night driving is a thing that a lot of us do, right?
Mhm,
And I think it's one of the it's obviously by statistical data, it's one of the single worst times of day to drive.
mhm,
But I don't believe it has to be that way. Um, some of the things that I do when I'm driving is I I've explained this to Jacob. It's I'm not looking at the car in front of me. I'm not even looking at the car in front of them. I'm looking 2, 3, 400 feet and looking for brake lights and lane checks up there and what's going on in front of me. Because those brake lights half a mile out are going to affect everything back. And knowing a part of defensive driving is knowing what all these scenarios of what can happen and what way you would get yourself out of them.
mhm.
Like that's
Always leave yourself an escape plan.
yes. I think isn't that like status quo is what they call that or something. Maintain the status quo, or is that for?
I think that's a different thing, Jack. I'm talking about escape plan.
Oh,
Like
escape plan. I'm sorry.
you'll rarely find me in a middle lane on a 3 or 4 lane highway.
Yeah, I'm prepared to go sideways on an inside grass lane if I have to avoid an accident. Like,
Uh, the emergency shoulder pull
mm-hmm.
has saved my so many times. Um, the big one is on we not the big one. We were gonna get to the point about like what the causes of accidents were.
Yeah. I mean, we're just
Like,
talking about night things, like
yeah,
perspectives here. We're chatting.
at, it is easier to see other cars at nighttime, in my experience.
100%.
Right? So
Even
like your blind spot is much less blind because you can see the light next to you for if there's a car in your blind spot,
mhm.
right? But almost all of my like emergency, I got to get out of this lane situations have come from somebody just starting to come over without like they throw their blinker on, and before their blinkers click the first time, they're already pulling into your lane. You're there. You know,
Yeah.
it sucks if you're in the middle lane.
You know what that's called? They have zero spatial recognition.
Yeah.
It's not hard. That's like okay, so that's another thing that I know that I do myself like as I'm driving. It's like to describe it is as you're going down the highway. Like I'm not saying that people do high-speed canyon runs on main public highways, but I'm sure there's a YouTube video or two out there of something similar to that. People who are driving like that aren't as much idiots as you think. A lot of these guys are crazy, stupid, doing for what they're doing, but there's a mental path that they're creating a map as they're going back and forth. Really good drivers, especially like professional race car drivers, I would say. We'll say at that level. They're making these pack runs through. They're creating this like digital, not digital, but like this mental map of everything in their mind. So if you could think of a pegboard and it was a car or an object, planning how you go through it is that's a thing. Also braking, like how much brakes do you apply? Like what's excessive? Like unsettling cars is another thing. Like you follow people on a twisty road that are oh
Heidi and we were, I think, on our way up to Ohio to pick up the red car last year, and going out through West Virginia, there's no way to get to Ohio from where I am without going through the mountains or around the mountains.
mm-hmm.
Well, most of the roads are pretty nice. I'm just gonna go through the mountains, take my time.
Oh, it's
So
always
we're
beautiful.
we're in the van with the box behind it, coming up a
It's a little
mountain road.
box.
We get passed on a double yellow by a, I'm gonna name the car. It was a Jeep Patriot, right? Lady on her driver. Ignore what I just said. It was a driver on their phone,
Yeah, you can't be
right?
sexual here. It's
I'm trying to be as,
unbiased as
neutral as
possible.
possible. Uh, this person could not have possibly been familiar with these roads and the standards they were driving. Right? We're talking about a 2-lane road, 4-foot shoulder, double yellow, everywhere. Right? So we're like, okay, they're coming around me. I've got those big mirrors. I can see the car coming from way back. So I slow way down, drop a trailer tires and van tires over the edge of pavement. They make it around me. Heidi and I are like, oh my goodness, that's crazy. Good luck to them. A mile, mile and a half, maybe 2 miles up the road, there is this Jeep Patriot on its side, on the inside shoulder of a corner, right?
Oh,
On the In the lane coming the other way is a fifth wheel camper with its entire driver's side like shredded. So this car was going around the corner, couldn't go the corner, and here's,
took the thing too
Nancy and
fast, man.
Bob in their retirement rig, taking their time, and now their entire vacation, everything is just screwed because you're not going to rent a camper in the middle of the week in the middle of the summer. You can't tow your camper because the axles are foobarred. You like the fender on the like it was a dually truck. I mean, big fifth wheel camper. Like the
Oh,
folks like
yeah,
snowbirds with their retirement rig. That's where they live.
yeah. They were just
They were
putting along too.
by the time we got up there, the lady of the truck was up, flagging traffic, telling them to stop and stuff. And like it was one of the situations. There's absolutely no need for it. Like I don't. Are you in a hurry? Flash your lights at me. I'll get over. But situational awareness, appropriate, knowing how your car is going to handle,
Knowing, well, not just
knowing
handle.
your car, having seat time is so important.
Yeah, drive more. Hashtag drive more.
Hmm.
Well, that's a segue into Wookiees in the Woods is coming up soon. You know, general etiquette on the road. Um, but the knowing when to pass because here, first off, you're not supposed to pass in a double yellow.
Right, it's the law.
Yeah,
Regardless of what state you're in, it's the law.
yeah.
Like,
It's like people. All right, know it. And I say that because even when you can pass in the right place, knowing how far you got, how much acceleration does your car do. When you're gonna pass, you commit. You put the hammer down, you drop gear, and you roll out. Like you don't
Yep.
have quarter throttle. Oh, I'm gonna roll on it. You are begging to get checked, like and
Right.
or cause an accident, or whatever,
A
or be in an accident, or run yourself off the road. Like it's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was
Like
gonna say, 9 times out of 10, a police officer will not issue you a speeding ticket while you're passing in a correct passing zone.
yeah,
So if the speed limit's 55, right? And homeboy's going 52 and a half, and you're like, man, and you go around them, and you hit 73 going around them, get in front of them, slow back down to 58. If a cop's running radar the whole time, he's not going to give you a ticket for that 73. It is safer for you to go around a car doing 54 at 73 than it is to try to get around a car doing 54 at 55.
yeah. Now at the same time, if you were to do that exact same maneuver and your distance from oncoming traffic was sus, he might flag you for, improper lane change.
Uh, Dude, it's timing is everything when you're trying to pass somebody.
100%.
And what you're saying about the location, you might be in the perfect location to pass somebody. But if Big Daddy Mac truck is coming the other way, your timing is not right.
Well, playing with timing, also distance. Like you might be in a passing zone, like in Colorado, going down up to Grid Life. I seen this all through there because there's a lot of backcountry side roads to get into Pikes Peak area, and lots and lots of lane change. But there's these ones where you can't. The rolling hills are just
Oh,
enough that
I
you,
remember the exact same thing coming through there in the van.
yeah,
And
like you
and
can't get line of sight on nothing,
yeah,
dude.
I did have a cool experience, and I don't remember the name of the route, but running essentially south towards Pikes Peak, right?
Okay.
I don't remember the road. 2-lane roads, shoulders, rolling hills, just like you're talking about.
Hmm.
It's something else when you're rolling in the van and there's not a whole lot of other cars and 3, 4 Ferraris and a couple Porsches together. It's like, like great. I don't have enough. Like,
Dude, so when I went on my trip to Grid Life, I don't know if I think I told you because you were probably the first person I called, but going the opposite direction coming into town was a red '86 first gen chasing a second gen. And I was like,
CRXs.
yeah, CRXs. I was like, that's the
Yeah.
coolest thing ever. I was like, I had
Yeah,
never seen
man.
another one on the road till then. Like, other than the one you own, I have never seen another one driven. An-
Like first gen, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah, that.
that is the
Mm,
obligation you have to keep it running and driving. I brought you a running driving car. Proof
yeah.
it did.
I even have the plastics for it.
Oh,
All
nice.
right. Before we get sidetracked on CRX things, I'm
Okay.
gonna bring up one of my. Well, actually, I've got a couple here, but we'll start with the first one. If you are entering the interstate and you come down the on ramp and stop at the end to check traffic,
Shut up.
you deserve to be rear-ended. This happens to me more than you would think. Now,
No.
I drive a lot, right? You know that Heidi and I, we take road trips. We drive everywhere we go. We don't hardly fly at all. And more more times than I can give you specifics. Like there was a silver Mercedes SUV in the middle of Kansas. There was a yellow like late 90s what was the little Chevrolet Cavalier in the middle of Ohio. And then in West Virginia there was a black Jeep. And like
Yo, I
they
wonder.
stick out they stick out in my head because like most of the time that we're going somewhere, I'm either in the van or in the van pulling 10,000 pounds of shit, and I can't accelerate from I need all of the acceleration lane. And then I'm still entering the highway at the speed limit or a little above. But for these folks that come to the end and then try to I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know, like I it's one of those things I can't fathom What makes you think that's a better idea?
I got an idea. Scam. They're looking to cause an accident, knowing that if they get rear-ended, it's a place where most people are entering. They're doing one of these, should be looking over their shoulder, checking what's coming, what they're getting ready to merge into, so they're not paying attention. Look over. Oh shit.
Dude, the silver Mercedes SUV one,
Yeah.
I haven't I don't know if I've ever laid on my horn so much. It was an on-ramp. We're going uphill onto an interstate. Like uphill, the on-ramp's uphill, and then the interstate just goes uphill for the next mile and a half or whatever. We're in Colorado, out of West Virginia, mountains.
We should put an air horn on the. We should put an air horn on the van.
On the van.
Yeah.
I would like to, but I feel like I would probably do some irresponsible things with said air horn.
It's not illegal.
I know it's not illegal,
Okay.
but I'm not sure how many people would like me after we went camping or after we went.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you.
look, if we go to Wookiees and I got an air horn on the van and you're going full semi-pro drifter down the tail of the dragon in the van, you lay the air horn on somebody that's holding you up, they're gonna shit.
I have been told to slow down in the van a couple times, but yo, you can get on eBay and order a kit and I'll install it while we're there.
You have enough installing to do while we're there already.
I'll do it after dinner one night.
All right, all right. After that, crock or the Dutch oven cook-off winners announced.
Yes, 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 yes. Yo, we remember. Okay, so the way I was talking, we're gonna sidebar for 1 second because we're gonna get into
This whole podcast sidebar. Keep sidebar.
it's our podcast. Do whatever the hell
Yeah,
we want.
we'll do what we want.
The are we in agreement that the official way we want to take I think it's a better idea to take all the Dutch oven interiors and we go up and we go to the Fontana Village during the car show, the sound off, and take a
I'm
vote.
I'm down with that, with you on that, but I don't know. We need to coordinate with the guys that make the decisions at Wookiees before we try to impede. I don't want to get to a point where we're trying to compete, even though we're not. But it's their event, and we're there to attend.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying? I'm just trying. I wanna do everything I can to avoid being
All right.
rude.
How about this? Let's play it a different way.
We coordinate with them ahead of time. It's all it takes.
Okay. I got another proposal to coordinate with them instead, where
Okay.
we wouldn't have to even.
Show up at the fire pit.
That's what I was getting at. I remember last year I brought the banana boats.
Yeah.
We can just show up and be like, guys, okay, here's the box. Come serve yourself. Let's.
Yeah. You cannot. You can't eat unless you're gonna vote.
Yeah, you have
Like
to vote. We are. This is literally what the competitive level amongst our group of friends is. Is if it don't matter if we're on the street, on a track, or camping, or even cooking, we are competing on something here. This all. This
you know,
all. I can't believe.
our boy Fred's a natural competitor too.
Yeah.
So and Mrs. OG Pappy is gonna
Is she
be
gonna
throwing down.
enter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be happy
You're
to
the
be.
only person I know that's like excited about that. Everybody else is like, fine, I quit.
Nah, screw that. I'll spank a grand. I'm not afraid to kick a grandma's ass.
Okay, all right, all right.
Actually,
Oh
I mean, here,
man,
the reality is, what she brings to the table is experience. Okay, she was as old as probably the tool she's gonna cook in. Love you, grandma. Just saying. Um,
the
but
grandma he's talking about is my mother,
yeah,
FYI.
I know. I'm
But
sorry.
it's fine. She is a grandma. I'm very proud. She's great grandmother even.
Even better. Hey, even more the reason why I'm okay. I mean, here, if I get my butt kicked and spanked by it, it is what it is. But it's a blind taste testing. No one's gonna know. So it'll be
Nobody knows what it is until they're about to put it in their mouth.
yep, or who it was by, who made it. But it's gonna have to be made in a Dutch oven. It's a blind sample test. You have to keep
We
it
have
that way.
to, so essentially we have to do
A,
a
B, or C.
presenter. Somebody needs to be designated as the presenter of the entries so that the creator of the entry cannot influence the voters.
Yes, of the drunk
Right.
voters.
Look, we're gonna have to write down some more rules. We'll get back to this.
Yeah.
Before we get too far, I got one thing left on the this shit annoys me
Keep
thing with drivers.
okay.
Braking zones.
Braking zones and crossing lines.
Well, I'm just saying for me,
Okay.
I'm all about efficiency. If there ain't nobody else coming in the lane towards you and you can creep that line a little bit, this does not apply at Wookiees. Do not be a dildo. This does not apply at Wookiees. In all driving situations outside of Wookiees, use the space you have.
You go ahead about
Uh,
braking zones and then I'll rant.
okay. Um, if I'm traveling in my van with the box attached, the space I'm leaving is not me letting you over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am relentlessly cut off in traffic when I'm just leaving space for me to stop.
All right, devil's advocate's coming out. Is it if somebody comes over into your lane, at that point, is it not your job to just lift and increase your
Oh,
stopping distance?
I do,
I
I
was gonna say,
do.
okay, so
I'm not trying to be out here being murderful and
but
shit.
if they get over and like lane check you or something, brake check.
Like, and it's much less in, like, stop and go traffic, but, you know, when traffic's starting to build up and everybody behind you's like, "Oh, we can go faster," and traffic ahead of you's like, "Yo, we really can't." You know, and you're
Right.
going 40, 45, 50, and a 70, and everybody's up on top of each other.
Yep, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
If I'm leaving a van and trailer length ahead of me before the track ahead of the track behind the tractor trailer, and you put yourself between me and the tractor trailer, it's now my responsibility to slow down. But I wasn't leaving that space for you. If I wanted you in front of me, I'd flash my lights at you after you put your blinker on and ask to come over.
Mm,
But like the diving in and out of lanes, you have to be, and it's not just braking zones really. You have to be aware of what the people around you are operating with, right? If I'm following you down Tail the Dragon and I'm in a B5 S4 and you're in a B6 S4, I know that you can handle that car and you know that I can handle my car. And we might get super close to each other. Or like, there's enough.
we we've
You
done
and I know each other well enough and we know each other's driving ability well enough and the cars that we're in capability well enough that we're willing to take a higher risk, right? Sure, that's fine. In places like that, times like that, people like that. If you're in traffic,
don't do that.
you don't
There's
know anybody. You don't know when the last time their brakes were changed. You don't know the last time they had oil change. You don't know how the age on those tires. You don't know anything about the person that's driving essentially a weapon around you.
you
And
don't know the
so,
condition of that driver. Better yet.
right.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
real.
driver mod is a thing.
It
That's
is.
why we're here talking about it. But vent away, bud.
All right. I,
Lay the hammer down.
I understand that if in this scenario it's clear lane, you can use a little bit more of the lane. I understand where you're at from that, but
I'm mostly that honestly that's back road. I am not lane weaving on the interstate. Like I grew up in the country, right? You might drive 10 miles and see one other person. Maybe two. Like so lane laws on a road by yourself is one thing. Everywhere else, like
that's all right. All right, that's all right. We have opposite opinions. So, not opposite, but the way I look at it is I like to hit the back roads out here on the perspective of I want to maximize the fastest line that I can within the mustard and the mayo. And I want to see how fast I can keep it on that pre-selected line. But there's a lot of different paths in a 12-foot set. How big's a lane, Steve? Go. Work question here for y'all.
um so it depends
Standard
where you
highway lane.
standard highway lane, center of line to center of line is 12 feet.
Okay, standard back road highway, like bisectional highway, the white sign. Those are
12 feet.
okay. So they're still 12 feet
But
wide.
if you've got a double yellow center, that 12-foot goes from the middle of the two lines to the middle of the white line, right? Follow me?
Okay.
So like if you're on a back road with a double yellow, you technically have less lane if you don't want to touch the mustard. But if you're going down the interstate and you have double dash yellow up the center, you have essentially 6 inches more
Interesting. That's
to
fun fact.
get to the paint.
Okay. Fun fact for you, the more you know. My point is I look at it as a let's see if we can hold this line and maximize our efficiency. 'Cause here, I'm also the guy who tells people to use cruise control around roundabouts so and see how fast you can go down them. So don't touch the brakes. Like if see how fast you can go down a roundabout. You know the car, the recommended speed's 45. We can definitely do 65, 70 around this thing. Like good tires, dry pavement, pick a line, out in, hit your apex. It'll do it. There's time. That's one of those. This is one of those moments where I'm going to rant about. It's okay in certain conditions, but and that goes back to the mustard and the mayo thing. Like I don't actively want to. I don't actively ever try to drive out of my lane. Like I want. I will pick the fastest line I can in a lane. But if it
Yeah,
happens, I'm not. It's not like I'm saying go all the way out. Like if it happens, it's a half a tire. It's a tire. It's. I
yeah.
mentally know that by my visual reference in the car. Like I fucked up. That was too fast. I shouldn't have gone over the line.
Oh, so a lot of a lot of the quote unquote rules. I mean, it's really situational. It's really situational. Now, I'm with you. If stay between the mayo and the mustard all the time, do that. You know, but if you're be a safe driver for the situation you're in.
And
Be a safe driver for the situation you're in. That's essentially
and don't overdrive your car. Like that's another thing. You're on. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of very good drivers that come down to Wookiees in the woods. Because here, this is the topic we're on, right?
Yep.
And then there's also a lot of crappy drivers that come down to Wookiees. I cannot name a year, sadly, that I have gone down there and not seen an accident. Whether it's a car in the water, and by water I mean the river that's at the bottom of the dam,
way.
out. We're like
I just want to point out that was a BMW though. Does it really count?
not towards the Wookiee crowds counter,
That's what I'm getting at.
but
Our ratios.
The Toyota guys, they can be counted in with them. I'm
You
kidding.
know, it's there was 3 or 4 accidents last Friday, just on Friday.
No, I mean,
Like that road's real. That road is so real. And I don't. I mean, obviously it exists and it's real that way. But it's one of those roads until you drive it, and even if you're not driving it at pace or as fast as you can go, it it will humble you.
drive it at the speed limit and just leave it at the speed limit, and I think it will change your dynamic of your braking zones and how you think. Like I know that anybody of our crew could easily set a cruise control on that road and probably drive it at cruise control speed.
I, I think
I
the lowest posted speed limit up there is 30, and I think the highest is 35. Like,
yeah.
and I think it just changes when you cross the state line.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say the speeds that have been driven down it, but
Well, I mean, it's against the law to use timing equipment up there.
they do it. There is a group that does it.
I mean, yeah, but
There, no. There's a sanctioned race on the tail of the dragon.
I'm talking about their and I don't know if it's a law, but like the unwritten laws of mustard and mayo, like they are adamant. People that go to Wookiees or people that go to a lot of events up there. I mean, Killboy, you talk to him, he'll probably tell you the same thing. That's a photographer. It's up there all the time. The locals, whatever. The police do not want to see timing equipment on your car. They do not
Oh,
want to
I
see
see what
timing
you're
equipment
saying.
on your car because if you get pulled over for whatever you're doing up there and an officer sees timing equipment on their car, they know what you're there to do. They want everybody to come up and have a good time. And essentially up there, if you're doing 100 miles an hour up the tail of the dragon, and it's between the yellow paint and the white paint, and you're not too close to the guy ahead of you, and you're not holding traffic up behind you, they're
There's
gonna
there's
leave you
pull offs
alone.
and there's pull off zones for you holding up traffic too. Like
Yeah,
big old ones.
yeah.
At the same time though, they'll pull your ass over just as quick. If you're out there being a jackass, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm not saying, oh, you can do 100 up onto an officer, but I bet you, I can guarantee you, if that officer's doing 65, 70, and you come up on him, like if you can keep you can get of him a nice following distance, and he'll roll. Like these guys are locals. They understand why we're there. They're not. I've seen them where they let us over. They'll get over and let us by. You know,
I love locals.
but you got to
I
interact
love
with them.
not just at Wookiees, right? I've told a bunch of personal stories this particular episode, but one of my favorite experiences, I when I bought my house out west of Winchester, and it was kind of up in the rolling hills before the mountains. I had the hibiscus one day, sticky tires. I'm gonna go have some fun. I come up on a dude in a Toyota, or not Toyota. Wow, it's wrong. Chevrolet Colorado Canyon, whatever their little truck was from like 2003, 4, 5. Not the S10 after the S10, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Little tiny truck.
Okay.
Homie was flying. I mean, flying. And I'm like, okay, I'm in, and so I drop a couple gears, start chasing this dude. And we go up a mountain road, down a mountain road, up another mountain path, down another mountain path, and I'm like, shit, this dude is flying. Okay. So we get to this intersection, right? And he kind of pulls a little over on the shoulder and like puts his arm out the window and waves me up, right? Come here. Right? And I'm like, okay. Put my passenger side window down. He looks over and goes, what the F is in that car? Like, mad that he was like, I've lived on this road 40 years. Ain't nobody keeps up with me. Like, mad. Like, and so not all locals are going to be that way on all the local roads. But
Oh,
if you can make a local think about how much faster they can go on their road, you're driving pretty good.
that's
Now,
so good.
full honesty though, like I kind of felt bad because I did not tell the dude I was on sticky tires. I did not tell him that it was, an S4 or anything. He didn't look like the type that would know. He might have, I don't know.
He didn't
But
realize by power you had a little extra than it.
yeah, I mean, he was in a like even I think the big engine in those trucks was a 5-cylinder. It made like 210 horsepower.
So it's funny you bring this up. So there was a time there was Jacob and I were in the car coming back out of like Washington, which is there's a whole bunch of twisties. It's area back down here. It's it's like a practice run tail, right?
Okay.
Warm up. Let's keep the skills in. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're coming back up through 47, and there's this old. It's probably like a '96 Cavalier, something. I never really got an eye on it, type of thing. Like
Okay.
I caught it in the twist. I seen it, and it wasn't like he pulled out onto the road out far enough in front of me that I seen him, and I was catching up to him, but he was kept going, and I kept putting my foot down. I'm like, I'm catching him, but we're just into the turns, and he's diving in and he's exiting out. I'm like, I get up to warrant him, and he pulls over, and I'm like, he pulls past, and it's like it's a Cavalier. I'm like, freaking dude was read. I'm like, he's a local. He drives
Yeah.
this every day. Like
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that.
that's
But that okay. So that plays into a. I'm reading the Skip Barber Racing School book, right? Like the textbook, and that's one of the
mhm.
things that they mention in there is, you know, yeah, reflexes are good. Having quick reflexes as a driver is one thing, okay? But quick reflexes as an unexperienced driver is a bad thing because what it's going to cause quick unsettling of the car from like off the gas, too fast up onto the brake, twitching of the steering wheel left and right. Like smooth transitions are fast transitions, right? And if you are driving a road consistently, I don't care if it's the road home, if it's a back road, if it's whatever, if it's a trip that you take with your friends every year. having or racetracks that you consistently race on, you're going to naturally get faster every time you drive those roads if you're consciously paying attention to what's going on around you, how you're taking a turn, or how your braking distances are. Or another fun game to play is when you're following somebody, see if you can maintain a distance. Don't touch the brakes. On off throttle as smooth as you can. Take a point, pick it. You know, I need 60 feet to stop in. You maximize that and just maintain that distance. Like that is a fun game because that's going to teach you throttle control. And you're not going to rely on the brakes. You're going to know that you can just lift off throttle, let the car idle down. You don't touch the brakes, you're not wasting energy, which means you get a bit more fuel mileage. You're more efficient. Going green with our gas powered cars, people, on today's upload.
As we transition to electric cars, right? That's a thing that's happening. It's going on. You know that when when you're driving the C5 and you let off the throttle, there's engine braking. It might be a very little bit, but there is some rolling resistance in the drivetrain that causes the car to slow down,
Correct.
right? I don't know how many electric cars you've driven. I haven't driven a bunch, but
I've never.
okay, all
I've
right,
only rode in them. Two Teslas, and that's it. I've never
okay,
drove one. No one will let me yet.
fair. The Not all of them have any kind of like there's regenerative braking, but it only takes effect when you've pushed the brake, right? Not when you let off the gas. And so a lot of them have a quick, there's a quick disconnect. Whether it's I don't know how it works. I'm just saying like when you're in an electric car and you let off the gas, it doesn't really start slowing down until you
So you're
apply your
saying
foot to the
you're
brake,
saying essentially there's no drag to slow
or
you down.
significantly less.
I could believe that. It's just
And
like
so the dynamics of them as we transition. I was talking about earlier in this podcast. I was talking about giving teenage drivers going from giving a teenage driver a small car to giving a teenage driver an SUV to giving it like we're gonna have the same kind of learning curve in driving dynamics with adults now having a different platform to get it used to.
I think the most basic. I think anybody who okay. First off, I think electric cars are going to be like driving a video game.
An
Like,
appliance. Yeah.
yeah, it's your disconnect is going to be very real because of so many things that you're not getting inputs from. Um, I think you're going to rely on your senses a lot of what's going on. Your depth perception is going to be a big deal because of also speeds, how fast they can be travel, how quickly. Uh,
How much are drivers going to count on the built-in safety systems?
I think
The
eventually,
proximity sensors, the uh, all of the things that make self-driving work are implemented in accident avoidance.
I think it's going to be done too much because they're going to too many. I think if we look at the big data, by the time it reaches 100 million, potentially it might go up. It might not, but who knows? I don't think the human error. I think humans should be driving should be scary.
Yeah.
It's
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. You should know that you can die every time you get in the car.
it should be the realest thing. People make the joke about, oh, well, we can die when we wake up every morning. Yeah, but yeah, you bet your ass. But there's a statistic for that, and I guarantee you, death by fatal accidents is a higher ratio
It's
still.
less when you're sleeping. You know?
Right, right. It's like it, driving is a lot of fun, right? Driving has its ups, it has its downs, but it also has a lot of responsibilities that with generations to come, unless we as parents instill like certain basic requirements of like, you know, here when you're doing, you need to understand these are the things that could happen in this type of situation. Like I go through it every day with Jacob. Like I know he can drive. I know he's capable. I've taken him to the racetrack. He's been doing donuts and drifting at 13. You
Yeah.
know, he can drive a manual car. I'm not scared of him driving. Now I want to teach him the things that I didn't learn that it took me 10, 20 years of driving. I want him to
Mhm.
understand these are the distances. These are how the dynamics of the car work. I want to make him a 30-year-old, 16-year-old driver if I can. Like
Yeah,
it
100%, man.
it scares me of the people that are getting ready to drive, that are driving.
I am honestly surprised, and this is I don't know how this really ties into our podcast, but whatever. I'm surprised how many young people aren't getting their licenses at 16.
Fun fact for you, Jordan. You know Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's been
Mhm.
there. All right, so Jordan's brother and his sister didn't get. Neither of them got their licenses at 16. Like they just had no desire. It wasn't a thing. Like I don't get that. Like that. Jacob was on. Jacob was on us about it basically.
Yeah,
Like,
no, 100%. I'm I don't know. I don't know if I was more so I'm the youngest kid, right? So like I didn't need to get a license at 16. I mean, like when my brother went to high school, I could have easily rode in his car to go to high school.
mhm.
When my sister's 4 years older than I am, like there were a lot of times, different things that we were going to as a family, and I hopped in with Jess because she's so I didn't have a like actual need to get a license immediately, but I can tell you right now, at 13, I had that little permit that said I could drive anything that had farm tags on it,
Oh yeah, lucky.
and then like the moment I could get my graduated license, I was like, "Yo, dad, dad, I need you to sign this thing. Mom, I need you to sign this thing. Come on, let's," you know, like. But I'm a like diehard car guy. There was almost no way for me to not be doing that at 16. But even in our age bracket, where the normal kid, I mean, what we both live in, not the urban environment.
Mhm.
You've got to be able to get places. The independence that having a driver's license brings you, I just don't understand why there's not. And it might be 10% of teenagers or 50. I don't know what the percentage is, but I hear it so much more now than I ever thought I would.
And I know there's a. I'm sorry, the
You're
play in
good.
with you because I want to promote more drivers and like like I believe people should drive. Like I'm not saying like, but they need to learn. The problem is they're not getting enough seat time in both controlled and uncontrolled and
Right.
controlled chaos experiences. Like you can do there are days where you can go and get trained professional drivers. That's great. That's still a class. It's like getting certified at your local freaking community college. What I'm getting at is dads, young dads out there, old dads out there, anybody. If you have a child, right, and you're a car guy, right, or car mom, or car uncle, or whatever, you got a nephew, regardless of scenario, there are cars out there that are cheap and are easily to maintain. Honda's being one of them. I'm not even going to say Audis because yes, you can get it in a any in a Audi is cheap to maintain.
Hmm.
You timing belt, you put a new belt on it, it's cakewalk. You can buy the tools on eBay to do any 2.8 or 4.2 belt drive for less than $100. An eBay kit for $100, and that thing is you're not going to break it. It's just send it, right? As long as you keep it cool. But it's my point here is like for I am trying to positive reinforce Jacob because of some grades and attendance school things, but it's like, hey, I got this car here that I'm willing to take you to the track and let you run the shit out of it, but you got to do X, Y, and Z. My point
Hmm.
is, if you got a car or you have the ability, and you can as an adult, you can put your kid on the racetrack at a time attack course, or a road course, or an autocross event. They can be 13 years old if they can show car control.
Hmm.
There you can sign it and sit in the car with them and let them drive. It's a controlled environment. Let them roast some gears. It's a great bonding time, and you're gonna get to learn a lot. And if you ran off the road, it's probably not the end of the world. Worst case, bent wheel, broken suspension arm. But it's not a primary car. You bought the car for $1,000 to do just this with it. Like, just think about it.
I I do love the fact that when you go to, like, an open track day, where it's just essentially you've gotta sign up ahead of time, you pay a little money, and you fall within a driver ranking and not a car ranking. You know, it's
Mhm.
not a competition. You're not trying to be the fastest. You're trying to drive your car on that track that day,
Yep.
right? One of the things I absolutely love is the people that buy the super expensive car and then go do a track day. No, 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 no. That's cool and all if you want to do one track day with the car you just bought. That's cool.
Just say
If
you
you
did it.
want to do track days, buy whatever you can that has the cheapest tires, the cheapest clutch, the cheapest brakes. Trust me, because you're going to go through those things. But the skill set you learn at the edge, past the edge, just before the edge will apply to all of your vehicles.
Understanding the line, repetitive use on like running the same track if you can even, you'll learn to be able to test
Knowing
things.
what hot brake fluid feels like,
Mm, yeah.
you know, know
Boiled
your
brake,
your
forward powered steering.
your
No
car is
power
going to
steering.
make
Sorry.
your car's going to make smells at a racetrack that it doesn't make anywhere else because you're pushing it to the limit. And the other thing is on racetrack stuff, you don't have to push it to the limit.
No,
Like
no.
like
You could be there are okay. So that was another thing that was in the book that I'm like still just inside of chapter one. It's this thick, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the things they were saying there are those that will go to a racetrack knowing that they and it described this lap, right? And how the lap would be ran and how so like we'll say a novice driver would drive it and know and then at the end of this segment it said know that lap was he said and going back to the pits you looking at the lap time you're 3 seconds away from the professional. Like you're
Mhm.
3 seconds under a professional, and like you think you're out there working it, and you put a professional in the same car, and it's like, oh shit, like there's that much more out there.
Yeah.
It's okay. My point is going in, you don't. It's okay if you don't like. You're not thrashing it. Like you're driving. There's going to be people out there who are just happily driving way harder than they normally would, but not red line. They're going 5,000 RPMs.
Yeah,
Shift.
and
If that
what I
makes
was saying about the guys with the expensive toy and they take it to the track one time,
sense.
they're gonna have a great time in their really fast car one time. But the dude that's got that 1989 Miata, he's gonna put seconds ahead of you. I don't care what car you have. And it doesn't have power. It doesn't have big brakes. It doesn't got sticky tires. It's lightweight, cheap, replaceable.
Yeah, at Grid Life, I believe it was a Fiesta, like an
Mhm.
old '80s Fiesta, turboed four-cylinder. You want to talk about fast and
Yeah,
no
time
and
attack
no
car.
weight. Oh yeah, it was a full-time attack car. It was,
Yeah,
but it's like I guess what I'm getting at with that is Steve's right. Like, don't find something cheap, find something that's going to be cheap to maintain, and thrash it. Like don't thrash it, but racing is expensive. All right.
yeah. We kind of jumped down the racing rabbit hole a little bit, but essentially, if if you're at a track day and the car in front of you goes sideways and you've got to avoid it, there's no difference in that between somebody on the interstate cutting you off at a bad time and you needing to avoid it. Don't
It's
you want to know how your car is going to react until you need it to before you want to know what your car is going to do before you need your car to do something.
and there's no
And
K rails on a racetrack really for you to hit. So if you go off in
right.
the grass, awesome. Next time that happens, you can try a different thing. Versus next time it happens on the highway, it's a completely different car.
And it all boils down to situational awareness. Every situation's different. Know your car, know yourself, be safe.
Live sketch, but be safe.
Yeah.
All right, Steve. I think we've covered a lot for this evening. Um,
Yeah, we have.
yeah, we have. Have you covered all your post-it notes, or would you like to add anything else?
Well, I don't have any post-it notes actually. I keep looking over here
Oh,
because I would have had some post-it notes, but there's actually it's just a piece of white. white paper
Nice.
on the back there, and then some stuff I had for work.
All right. Well,
So
before we go, I got one piece of crypto news, and I want to put a perspective on. Can I? And will I?
yeah,
All
shoot
right.
away, man. We got this is the typical end of podcast rando Jack session.
Okay. Go. All right.
Go.
So I was watching a thing in the new in crypto news. Da, 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 da. All right. Bitcoin now has a what's called a lightning node network. Basically, if you were to take an onion, all right, Bitcoin in the beginning is the first layer, and it is very, very slow and expensive, similar to what everyone says with Ethereum. It's because the blockchain height is not small enough. That's like saying this jump drive is 1 megabyte, this jump drive is 2 megabytes. Make sense? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Layer 2 happens. Layer 2 is now this lightning node, right? And it allows for super fast transactions between you, me, and everyone that were around. Because how do most transactions happen? Person to person, a direct interaction, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yes, that's not to say that stuff doesn't happen across seas, but that's a whole other argument. So, what happens is you have lightning nodes. These things interact really, really quickly. My point here is everybody is complaining about the power consumption of Bitcoin. Perspectively speaking, Bitcoin, May of 2021, at the height of the electrical cost average across the United States, was like 221 terawatts. Do you know how big? Do you know a terawatt is 1,000 of something, right?
Or Earth.
Or Earth. Now, comparison of electrical like that's terawatts. Like I said that's essentially 221,000 kilowatts of electricity. Sweden did that for the entire year. Okay, great. Put this into perspective. The United States, it's still, this is where it blows my mind because news is, information is twisted in the wrong ways. Our fossil fuels, by design of the way the grid is designed and loss, 5 to 6% is a standard of it's okay to lose this much electrical, right? And just trying to get it down the line.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 400,000 terawatts, right, in waste daily average by these electrical by like manufacturers, right? By electrical like coal plants, nuclear power plants, like line degradation, right? So you're already more than they are than Bitcoin is by consumption.
You're
What you
talking about the wasted energy in power generation, like the extra whatever, just to transmit the power is more than Bitcoin consumes.
yes the
Okay.
so just to get the power from the power plant to the line is 5%, 5 to 6% waste.
Mhm.
Bitcoin is still using less than the waste over here. Okay.
Okay.
I forget what company it is, but down in South America, I think it's Indonesia. No, I forget what country it is. Anyway, they got a volcano in the middle.
Indonesia is not in South America,
Yeah,
just to be clear to our listeners.
do not. This is not a geographical show. I apologize. I'm not, and also I'm not a financial advisor. This is not my way of saying you should buy Bitcoin, but there's some pretty cool things happening with Bitcoin. It's a long, good play. There's also good investment plays there. But anyway, so Bitcoin miners are now saying, stop. Back to my, so in this country in South America, they got a volcano, right? Bitcoin miners are so conscious about the amount of electrical that it costs to do this, they are now tapping into geothermal sources. The country is also the same country. If you Google it, has just said that it's a national currency. We will accept it in any way, shape, or form in the entire nation. That's huge for a crypto asset. I'm not saying
Mhm.
it's, yeah, that's huge. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
And they have a system to implement where they can actually transact it at a fairly reasonable pace. If you want to make money doing Bitcoin nodes, that is a thing on the Lightning node. Check out some videos on YouTube and Google it.
Quick question.
Yeah.
The power consumption you're talking about, what does that encompass? If you are mining Bitcoin at your house,
hmm Essentially,
is your energy consumption for your unit at your house included in that number for Bitcoin?
nah, maybe. I don't know. I see what you're getting at. You're saying is the statistics value like everybody mining or just a handful of big miners? I don't.
Is the entire my I guess what I'm asking, is the entirety of the energy consumption appropriated within the value that has been quoted?
I think the number. I do believe that the number within the Bitcoin network, there's a way for them to pull. Okay, how much hash power it is based on average consumption of electrical expense. Here's what it is. I do
Okay.
believe. I do believe that's where that number has came from at 221 terawatts. But my point is now these miners, these big corporate miners, big franchise miners, these big companies that are actually monetizing the fact that it's mining. Because here we can only mine it till somewhere like 2,140, right? But they're tapping into energy sources that normally wouldn't be available, like geothermal. That 5 to 6%, you're seeing people, you're seeing my operations set up right next to, you know, hydroelectric dams where they can hook up and get super cheap power because they're losing it in loss. Right next to coal plants, right next to, did you know? You know the gas pipes, gas lines, natural gas.
Pipelines,
Yeah,
yeah.
gas pipes. Okay, so there is a giant ball of fire that burns off the top of this thing every single day because we can't put there's a word for it. I think it's like flocking or flacking or something like that. It's FL something. I
Okay.
There are even there are mining companies that are hooking up to these gas lines because they're getting pennies on the dollar, pennies per cubic meter of gas to turn into electrical.
Uh, you you want a long-term mine?
Yeah, I'm running mine in the background.
I'm just saying, Heidi and I, we look we have invested in property, right? We ended up investing in a property where this does not apply, but we looked at several properties in which the gas rights had been sold by previous owners to the gas company. And so large tracts of land for not a whole lot of money, you could purchase, build a structure. One particular property we looked at, and this is pretty common, it's not like specialized as one unit. Garage, house, all the natural gas you could ever need because there was a well on the property. If you buy this property and let our technician have access to our well, you can have as much natural gas you want. So on that
Really?
the kitchen stove was gas, the everything.
Oh yeah.
Everything was natural gas because like yo, if you that's a different topic, different day, but the energy consumption, it's a major concern. It's not necessarily the consumption, it's the cost to be able to consume it.
So my big one right now is because Megan and I are back and forth on this topic of I'm trying to expand SPR Industries. We've had this conversation, and one of the things I'm considering is proper buying a physical lot of property like land, and
Mhm.
because my business is so web based, I can operate within a agriculture I think zone here nor there. Long story short, water. Water is what I want. I want running, moving water because federal law says you can't block a waterway. So no one could put a fence across it. If I got at the top of that creek, I should be able to float down to the bottom of it legally because no one owns waterways. But I can tap into running water and
Uh,
moving.
be careful about the water thing. Just
Fair enough. I'll.
read deep.
Okay. I want to be able. I want to be able to have. I want to be able to generate. I want to be able to generate power no different than as freely as just as easily as having a gas line or having a water well. Being I don't know. I have my request. I have things that I'm like I gotta have this on property. I want trees and I need running water.
I needed a garage
Fair
or
enough.
space to build a garage.
Mhm.
So,
I'm
uh, but
yeah.
I think that's enough on the crypto for now.
Yep. Sorry. All I'm getting at
No, we're good.
all I was getting at, world, was perspective. Perspective. The narrative that is sold that crypto is ridiculously expensive and costs a lot of energy is fact. It does. But when you scale it up to perspective, there are things out there that are ruining our environment and are much more wasteful than somebody's ansient device running at their house.
What does the U.S. Mint and all of its agencies consume every year in energy? Just
Yeah.
don't answer that question. But no money is free.
And the reality is they'd rather own all the mining rigs because then they own all the ledgers. So anyone who's mining, don't stop mining. I have power to the apes. Guys, thanks for watching Real Talk Vlogs. It was fantastic. I hope everyone had a good time. If you have anything, any comments, questions, concerns, you want to DM Steve or I, you can hit him up on S4RW on all social platforms. You can find me at Rowdy Audi on all social platforms, including Twitch now, ironically, and Xbox if you want as well. Like you can go Rowdy Audi and I'm on Xbox even. So, Steve, do you have a gamer tag? Do you want to shout out if anyone wants to compete against you in
Oh, gee.
PlayStation Land?
Essentially, I have a PlayStation 5, and my gamer tag is S4RW underscore boss, and I will be on Gran Turismo 7 um, the day it comes out. I I bought a PlayStation so that I could get the new Gran Turismo, which is a portion of my life from my past that I like languish a little bit. My brother, for anybody that's been to um, events like Wookiees last year, my brother came. He is also an avid Gran Turismo fellow, so we compete in their time trials on every 2 weeks. They issue two new time trials, and so the time trial chart for the year is 4-2 in favor of your guy right here.
Nice. I
Mel-
have.
Melling, step your skills up.
Is there? All right. Well, on that bombshell, guys, I love you. I love everyone. Have a great evening, Steve. I look forward to a TV in the back of the race box at Wookiees.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
All right, and till next Friday. Thanks for watching Real Talk Vlogs. See you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Fuck our viewers.
Yeah.
Wookin.
All right, man. The
Bye, dude.
recording is